there's no right way. I think that's probably the best advice you can get is there's no immediate right way except for taking the first step. You just have to take that step and do it, and it'll slowly build.
This is the Late Night Startup Show, where we sit down with local entrepreneurs, startups, and business owners to dive into their entrepreneurship journey, telling their stories to provide content for them and value to the aspiring. On this episode of the Late Night Startup Show, we were speaking with Dave and Dutch of sCAMPer. sCAMPer is the Southeast's first full-service campervan rental and concierge company. With sCAMPer, they're literally giving you the ability to just get in their van and go. Everything that you need to camp and be secluded and get off the grid is provided. So it's a very niche business, which was a very unique conversation because it's niche. Marketing's kind of interesting, navigating the different types of customers, the demand, but they started in 2017 and they have already scaled from one van to about to be 10. They have 9 already and they're about to get their 10th van. So obviously they're doing something right in this conversation that needs to be heard if you're an entrepreneur going into a niche market. So before we get into that conversation, we need to thank our sponsors, RCR Video Marketing Group, an Atlanta-based multifaceted video production company. All right, let me stop because I've said this a million times. Ray and I own RCR Video. It's our company, and we're passionate about helping businesses grow. And we've always done video production. That's what we're good at. That's what we're experts at. That's what we know. And the best way that we can help a business grow is if you hire us, RCR Video, to create a video for you. Because we're not just trying to collect money from you. We're not just trying to create great video. Obviously, that's the goal, is to create a great video, create compelling content, right? But what we really want to do in the long term is help your business grow. And if that means that you're hiring us or hiring somebody else to do video for you or doing video yourself, you need to do it. All right, next, Digits in Motion. You also need a website. Some of you need an app. A lot of you need an app in today's market. Contact Rob and his team at Digits in Motion if you need any of this, because they are really good at what they do. And Rob has the same mentality. He cares about the business as a whole over just what he's getting paid. And that's super important. All right, let's get into the conversation that we had with Dave and Dutch. Well, let's jump right into it. sCAMPer guys, I appreciate you guys joining us. First of all, where did the name sCAMPer come from? Obviously, I get the camp part of it, but tell me where the name sCAMPer came from.
So when I kind of started putting this whole thing together, the concept and the idea, I didn't really know what to call it. And I've told the story many times, but a mutual friend of ours, Nick Tapp, and I were at Shaky Knees Festival, and we were having some cocktails, kind of talking about the vision, and we're like, I have no idea what to name it, and we just started spewing ideas. We all used to work together in radio, and we were in the marketing department and promotions department, so brainstorming was always a big part of what we did on a daily basis. How to get people intrigued in the events that we're doing or the things we're doing on radio. So it was just one of those like brainstorming sessions at Shaky Knees with a couple of cocktails in, and to scamper is to hurry off and to get out, and kind of scamp came up, and then scamper, and it was like sCAMPer, and it just hit. Now Nick takes full credit for it. I don't really recall, but
takes full credit for a lot of things.
Yeah, he does.
So we have to be careful with this.
He's a smart guy, but he's not that smart.
Did one of you have to write it down so you made sure to remember it the next morning after all the cocktails?
I think we probably texted each other it, and I thought it was clever to do the sCAMPer with a K initially, and it was a really bad idea. It didn't even look good on paper, so it quickly went back to let's not be campy. Pun intended.
There you go, not be campy. Man. There you go. Well, I love the name because, like you said, what it means is just like get away, kind of in a hurry. And I watched one of your videos last night of you giving the tour of the van 3 and 4, and the whole time, you're like, we provide everything. We want you to be able to come pick it up and essentially go. Like, not worry about going to the grocery store. There's plenty of toilet paper, and like everything you need is on there, ready to go. You walk everyone through what they need to do. Yeah. Just pick it up and go. So tell us a little bit about the business, for the audience, people that don't know. It's sCAMPer. What is sCAMPer? Give us the elevator pitch of sCAMPer.
Yeah, so sCAMPer is basically your adventure delivered is where we started our tagline. And it's basically, we want to be your end all be all, get the heck out of town, really super easy. And so what we do is literally, you book through our website, scampervan.com, and then we're also your concierge. So if you need help with, gear, kayaks, bikes, paddle boards, or even your food, if you want to really just get out of town super fast, we'll go shopping for you. Dave has done it multiple times where he's gone shopping and picked up food and filled up the van. Yeah. So, we'll actually meet you wherever you're at, your house, the airport, etc. We get people flying in from all over the country. So what Campervan is your way to get outside. And we want to make getting outside easy. And you'll hear me repeat things. Again, we do marketing, so I repeat a lot of things a couple times. So it
power and repetition.
Exactly. So it hits it in there. But the another big piece to the company that we talk about is where we are in the country in the Southeast. The outside is neglected, right? Most people don't understand or don't recognize, rather, that we are an hour and a half away from the most beautiful parts of the country, or some of the most beautiful parts, right? We've got waterfalls. Appalachian Trail starts, an hour and 45 minutes from where we are right now. And so the ability to get out there easily and with all the stuff that you need, we want to make that as undaunting as possible. Yeah. So on a Friday, you get the call or you get the bug on Wednesday, and you call up your spouse, your significant other, or just you and kids or whatever, say, yeah, let's go. Get home from work. We have the van. We can meet you there at your house. All the stuff is there, the gear, sleeping bags, etc. You go camping. You have a wonderful weekend. You come back. There's no cleanup, right? Yeah. You just drop off the van back at your house. We come pick it up, and you're done. Wow. You get to go see all of the things that the Southeast has to offer.
So you're meeting the people with the van and meeting them to pick it up. They don't have to come to you if they can't. And that's awesome. And the best thing is you guys allow dogs, and there's no fee for that. It's just like bring your dogs. Friends in.
I mean, we have dogs. We love dogs. Yeah. We want people to remove excuses. We want people to remove excuses. Oh,
there's my dog.
He's a cute
Sorry
dog.
to interrupt you, but
that's all right, cutie. You have to show everybody else.
Exactly.
We flash that on the screen.
I know, right?
We want to remove excuses. So many times, especially when you're living in a fast-paced city like Atlanta, and it just keeps getting faster and busier, and people aren't finding the time to go do the things that are the most important things to do. It used to be they used to have the Chattahoochee raft races, and people were outside and they were doing stuff, and there still is a subset of the culture that's still doing it, but we want to be a solution for people who are always finding excuses. I don't have the gear, I live in a townhouse in Midtown. I don't have all the gear. I don't have tents. I don't have this. Man, we've got it all, I like to say, often people say, are the vans RVs, and I'm like, no, they're actually, think of it as glorified car camping. It's really like just pulling up into a tent site, except you don't have to set up the tent. You're driving in the tent. And it's, they're all built to be off the grid. You don't have to be in an RV campsite. You don't have to be in a campground at all, pull off on a fire road and spend the night. So, the ease and convenience removes excuses for people to go, I don't have time. I don't have the gear, whatever.
There's so many, and not to keep going on about this part, obviously we're passionate, but there's so many little things you forget when you're camping.
And what do you do once you're out there?
And when you're out there, I mean, a lot of the campsites are great. And that's another key part of this is campsites have come a long, long way. They're recognizing, they're recognizing what people want. Some of them even have Wi-Fi, which some people hate and some people love.
Now, when you say campsites, you mean like
campgrounds.
Campgrounds aside like from parks. The RV parks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you have your RV parks, which you see, right? But most, like if you go to the Georgia State Parks websites, you have the state parks, and those ones are the ones that are really well kept. The bathrooms and showers are great because we get a lot of questions about, well, do you have a bathroom in there? It's like, no, we don't really need to.
There is a sink.
There is a sink. There's a sink. We have water and we have showers available as well. Some have built in, some you can get externally, and so ours are built for you so you can go anywhere, like Dave said, but majority of the people go to state parks.
Okay, so if you have a sink and a shower and all that, why not a bathroom?
I don't want to clean that up.
No. Do you want to poop in your bedroom?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I mean, it's interesting because van life is obviously a huge thing. Hashtag van life. I mean, if you just look it up on Instagram, I mean, people are dreaming of van life. They're living van life. They're traveling. I mean, it's great. It's this huge movement. It's almost a flashback to the hippie movements of the 70s and the old VW vans.
And all minimalist.
Yeah, minimalist, open road. And now you can do that stuff because you can work from the road. You get Wi-Fi. You know, people aren't stuck in offices anymore. So it's super cool. But when a lot of people are actually living in vans, even the people that are living in vans are going, I don't want to sleep next to where I take a dump, you know, or where I pee or whatever. And we don't want to clean it, you know, as a company. We, you know, it's like
there's a lot of issues that
they come up with that. And we have a lot of people who are like, well, I'd rent it if you had a bathroom. I'm like, sorry,
you're not the right
customer. You know, if you're somebody who can go dig a hole in the middle of the woods or find a spot, you know, wherever, then you're our type of people. Because
we do rent a luggable loo, which is a 5-gallon bucket that has a toilet seat on it, and it's built for this exact process. And you put a bag in it and you take care of it. So,
and you guys just replace those every time. You don't even clean them, right? You just get it back and throw it out. Well, that's I feel like this conversation of not the right customer keeps coming up in these podcasts. I mean, just the one I did previously, we had the conversation, and I think a lot of new entrepreneurs, we were talking to before this, the purpose of the show is kind of inspire those aspiring entrepreneurs, right? And I think a new entrepreneur gets trapped thinking that they have to take in every customer, every lead, or every potential new client. And they let that blind them from just actually evaluating, is this the right customer for me?
Well, you know, get that feeling.
You can't be everything to everyone. You really can. And if you get yourself in trouble, if you're starting your own business going, I need to be everything to everyone, because if everything's important, nothing's important. Man, that thing's been stuck in my head for years. So we have to focus on what is important and really focus on that to our consumer. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, like if what we have doesn't fit your lifestyle, then, you know, there's somebody out there that will, you know, we can't really change every time somebody goes, well, I need this, or I need this. This is what we've got. And we've got a pretty cool product.
Yeah. And I would say it's hard because especially when you start out and you're really scraping for people, that's definitely something where you're like, oh man, but they didn't like this. What are we going to do? And then you realize, well, you know, it took us a little while too, because anytime we got feedback, we'd take it seriously. Even still, I mean, we want to make sure everybody has the best time that they possibly can. But there's definitely, you know, the bathrooms are a perfect example, or, you know, a couple of different ideas that we get back. And it's like, you know, it's not what this is designed for. And I think in this day and age, especially, the connectivity and the globalization is so widespread. Yeah. And niching is great. Yeah. I mean, with your ability to only like the things you like and basically funnel all those things to yourself, you'll get found by the right people. And there's enough of them out there. You just have to be true to what you are. Yeah. And really be true to that. And I think you'll be fine.
I just want to take that a step further, because like you said, being niche or becoming a niche is, I don't want to say easy to do these days, but there's more opportunity, I guess, to do that these days. But I personally think a lot of new entrepreneurs take that to heart, or that is one thing that makes them hesitant, is that they're like, oh, this isn't niche enough. I haven't found the niche yet. I haven't found the niche. But really, do they just need to find their business, what they're passionate about, what they're trying to do, and just set their boundaries? Like you guys said, we're not going to provide bathrooms. Yeah. It's not if you want a bathroom, then you're not
rent
the right
an RV.
Client for it. Rent an RV, exactly. So is it more or less setting those boundaries, and then that over time kind of puts you in a niche by proxy, or is it focusing on the niche first?
I think over time it puts you into where, you know, you're being true, because when you launch, you don't really know. And then you just kind of go where it takes you. And then you find your niche instead of, I don't think I would start, if I had to start it all over, try to find the niche and live up to the niche. Yeah. Like you said, it just kind of develops over time, and this is what we are.
But for sure set boundaries, right? Of like, this is our business, this is our company. We're not going to go outside of these boundaries. Yeah. And
we're still finding them, truth be told. I mean, we started with a certain van that we thought was going to be the only van in the fleet. And they're the two that are sitting outside of your building right now, and we love them. They're wonderful. And what we're finding is that we need more. We need some bigger space. We need, we're learning what our clientele is in this market because there is no market. There is a market, but we're finding it, right? We're making the market.
Okay, I'm curious to know, the first vans you guys had, were they the 2 to 4 passenger vans?
They're four passenger.
4 passenger.
They're small little Nissan NV200s, just small little tiny things.
And then did you realize that there was a need for
more room?
4 plus, 5, 6?
Yeah. Well, not even for more people per se, but for more room.
Yeah.
If these vans aren't necessarily where you're going to spend your vacation. It's really just the tool to get you there. Hopefully, once you get to wherever you're going outside. So you're not really living in it. But, we found that people just wanted a little bit more space. They wanted to be able to stand up in it. They wanted to be able to kind of, feel like they're more in like a hotel room as opposed to a small car that they're moving stuff around in order to camp. So when we started with the 4 passenger one, our next vans were actually 2 passenger ones. They were just larger vans. And then at that point, it's like, okay, we have 2 passenger, we have 4 passenger. We have a lot of people calling, I have 3 kids. Yeah. I've got 3 people want to go to Bonnaroo with me. Do you have anything that'll fit 5? And we're just, it's just trying to go, okay, what's the sweet spot? What are the vehicles that we need to kind of mass produce as we continue to grow? And I think what we're really focusing on is you got a 2 passenger and really a 4 passenger. The 5 passenger is nice, but again, we got to stay within some boundaries. Like we can't keep on going, okay, the next thing you know, someone's go, I got 4 kids. You got a 7 passenger? No, we don't.
Yeah. Because then you're getting an RV territory.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, and that's a big conversation we've had, is that we're not an RV company. It's real easy to get a lot of requests because of course people want they want what Dave says, a hotel room on wheels. And that's an RV. Yeah. And it's not what we are. So it takes a lot of concentration and talk for us to make sure we stay true to what we're trying, what we want to be and what we want to provide for people.
Has that been difficult marketing that as far as educating your customers of who you guys are, what you guys are? You're not the RV, you're not the hotel room on wheels.
I don't think it's been as difficult as you would think, especially because camper vans, although been around for a long time, they're just seeing a resurgence in the last 3 or 4 years with the whole van life thing. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that don't know what a camper van is. So maybe they'll see something in their news feed, or they'll see us in Creative Loafing or whatever and go, oh, what's that? Is that a small RV? We're pretty specific on our website and through our communication. This is a camper van. It's not an RV, there's nothing on anything that says RV. So we try to be pretty clear so that way the expectation is set. Yeah. Now people will miss the details and they'll call, hey, do you have a bathroom, air condition, all this. It's like, guys, you're missing the point. If you think it's all, this is really, it's glorified car camping. It's a tent on wheels, really. So expect that experience.
Yeah, which is the experience you guys are trying to give, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Well, we want it to be easy. The whole point, when Dave was talking about it from the get-go, is RVs are hard. They can be, right? Yeah. Something goes wrong. There's a lot of things that break.
Drive them.
They're big. They take a lot of gas. Gas mileage is a big deal for a lot of people.
You can only park them in RV parks. Yeah. You've got to have water. You got to have sewage. You have to have all that stuff. Our vans, you can pull in Walmart parking lot and sleep. It's not that that's where you want to spend your night, but
it's totally doable. I got a call yesterday. Somebody was like, hey, we got the tent. We can buy the regular tent campsite, right? Absolutely. That's what we do. There's no hookups required. It's super easy.
Pull up to a tent site, which is $15, as opposed to if you go to a campground and get an RV site, it's $55. It's like, or there's this website called Hip Camp. It's kind of Airbnb for people that have really awesome property. They're like, I got 40 acres on a farm in the middle of North Carolina. Come park your vehicle on my property for $10 a night. Yeah. And you don't have to plug in anything. So this is awesome. I can pull right onto this horse farm in the middle of West or East Tennessee, and that's my campsite for the night. Yeah. And there's a lot of freedom with what we do.
Yeah, it's kind of cool for filmmakers like Ray and I, because it's so many times on certain projects, we want to go out in the most secluded areas, stay overnight, get those sunrise and sunset shots and all that. And I can just imagine renting this, just a 2-person crew, 3-person crew going out there.
Anytime you're ready.
Secluded. Anytime you're ready, you get up at sunset.
No, anytime you're ready.
Oh, you do it. Yeah, right, yeah.
We'll set you up, man.
Let's do it. Yeah, maybe set us up, and then maybe I'll send you a surprise video or something from it.
And then I know, last pro tip on camping and wear. One really easy thing to do is if you go to Google Maps, look to the North Georgia or out in Alabama and Talladega, and look for the green space. That big green area on Google Maps up in North Georgia that's federal land, and that is open for dispersed camping. That's free. So you go into those fire roads anywhere up there and you pull off. You are literally legally allowed to park and camp anywhere. Build a fire, do whatever you want. Not whatever you want. I mean, there's obviously rules in there, but you can go check that out and just Google federal land, federal camping, all that kind of stuff, and it's
national forest, whatever.
Forest, yes.
The key is though, leave only footprints, man.
Yeah.
We try to tell people when you're going out there, just just be smart, be considerate, care for our land.
Speaking of that, and speaking of fire, I'll talk about this to you guys off the podcast, but that product right there called Fire Aid. Remind me to talk to you guys about that.
Oh yeah.
Remind me, because it's one of our clients through our video production company. It's a pretty incredible product.
Cool.
But I'll tell you guys, as far as safety and stuff like that.
I'd love to.
And leaving those small footprint and making sure what happened in California doesn't happen anywhere else.
Well, as much rain as we've gotten, I don't think we have to worry about it here. Can't catch anything on fire right now.
Yeah, right. So I would assume that your market isn't the frequent camper. I may be wrong on that, but because you guys are providing so much, you got sleeping bags on there just in case, you got all the materials, everything you need. But if I'm someone who really enjoys camping, it's something I do twice a month or whatever, I feel like I'm going to have all my materials. I'm going to have my way, my method, my truck, my tent on top of my truck or whatever. So are you guys marketing towards those people, or is it more just those people that want to try something new and different and really are infatuated with the idea of being off the grid? So the easiest way to do that is through you guys.
I think we really target people who just want to get outside. Yes, we'll oftentimes drop off to somebody who is an expert camper and his wife is just tired of sleeping in a tent. Or, they've got all the gear and they've been doing it for years, and tent camping is awesome. It really is awesome. But you get to a certain point where you're like, set up, tear down. Typically, it feel like we live in Seattle anymore with how much rain kind of comes in and out. Nothing worse than a rainstorm to kind of dampen your tent camping experience. I find that a lot of people will come and they're just like, we want to try something that's just going to be a little bit less work.
And a van's safer from bears, right?
Yeah, but it's
kind of depends on how much food you have in there.
It's funny how many people ask about bears, and I don't even really worry too much about the bears on this side of the country.
The black bears are not too out
Yeah, it's not like out west with grizzly bears and you got to worry too much. But people are like, what about bears? I'm like, just don't leave your food out.
And another pro tip, when you go to your campsite, by the way, those little hooks they're sitting next to you, it looks like you would hang a lantern there. That's actually for your trash.
For your garbage.
Okay. So get it out of the way.
You get it out of so it's not living inside raccoons and all
whatever.
Yeah.
Vermin.
Pro tip. Do you guys have like a list of these like pro camper tips?
No, you got to pay for that.
You got to pay for that. That's funny. So what's been the biggest struggle with Campervan? That's kind of where I was getting at, is like, I feel like you're educating your customer, and there's not necessarily like that frequent camper that they're probably the hardest person to educate, to convince, like, look, we're easy, because they've probably spent years building their inventory of supplies and getting the right travel fork and knife. Like, people get crazy about the stuff that they love. So what has been the biggest struggle for you guys so far as Campervan?
I think really from the beginning for us, it's been educating people what campervan travel is, because it's new on the East Coast. It's very big out west, very big in Europe, down under. We get a lot of people from England, all around Europe, Australia, that'll come to the United States, fly to Atlanta, hook them up with a van and they go and do their trip. So education was a big part of it. And then really once we launched with one van in April of 2017, had a second van by June, and really spent all of 17 and a good part of 18 with two vehicles. And the biggest challenge we had is trying to meet the demand. It was just like,
So you've seen steady growth, right?
I mean, it was instantaneous.
Yeah,
I mean, as soon as we put the 2 vans out there, we didn't, there just weren't enough. I mean, we had the problem of the inventory couldn't meet the demand. And this is a heavy capital industry. I mean, you need a lot of money to buy each one of these vans. So finding
and they don't come like that, right? You guys are buying the vans and then having to pay to get them built. Yeah.
So, realizing that, okay, we've picked a business that's got a lot of overhead. I mean, each one of these vehicles are anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000. You know, it's like, how are we going to do this? And trying to do that, with a new company, it's not easy to go and get a bank loan. They say, oh, use the small business development, or, go to the banks, they do small business loans, whatever. Man, it is not easy to do that.
Yeah,
so, finding a way to fund it, to build it, and then to establish yourself as a business so that way you can continue to grow and scale. And that's been a big challenge.
So what did that look like for you? I mean, I know you were in corporate America, right? Working that. What when you came out with the Campervan idea, what was next for you? Was it nerve-wracking? Were you kind of hesitant, nervous on what to do? Did you think that it was going to increase in demand so quickly, or were you kind of nervous about the launch and the start and the demand?
Well, I really wasn't too nervous. For me specifically, so the idea of Campervan really came up out of necessity in a lot of ways. I was in corporate America. I worked in the radio business. I worked in records. I was with a local company here for 13 years, and I was a victim of a spreadsheet. I was making good money, thought I was going to retire from that company, had a good name in the city, whatever. And one day they just pulled the plug and said, listen, we're going to eliminate this position. And, I was kind of like, well, now what do I do? So I took 3 months off, and I'm like, all right, took the first job offer that I got, which was working for a country music label out of Nashville, stayed in Atlanta, did some regional work, did that for about 6 months. And I'm like, man, this just isn't what I want to be doing. I got kids. I don't want to be on the road. I don't want that lifestyle. And then I had actually traveled out west with my son, who was 8. We did a national parks trip in a van, and we had a great experience. So while I had some time off, at this point, there was like 9 months where I wasn't working, sold my house in the city, made some cash, and just kind of said, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to start a franchise or something. I don't know. Yeah. And I had some friends who wanted to go do a surf trip, and I'm like, I'll rent one of those vans. I'll throw a surfboard on top. I'll meet you in the Outer Banks. And I started looking. I'm like, wow, there is nobody here doing this. Like, I could rent an RV, but I didn't want to rent an RV. I wanted to rent a van because it was just going to be a little road trip. And that's kind of where the bulb went off for me. And it was kind of like, all right, well, here's my next phase of my life. And I didn't let myself worry too much with the logistics because I just needed to make something happen. Dutch and I are old friends, and he and I had lunch one day, and he was kind of like, so what are you doing now? You see, you're not working, like what's the plan? I'm like, check this out, and he's like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And I'm like, you want to do this with me? And he's like, yes. I'm like, you might want to talk to your wife first, but so I think when we started, I don't think there was a lot of trepidation. I mean, for me, it was almost a necessity. It's like, all right, I got to do something. Now I took a couple of jobs to supplement income because when you're starting a business, all you're doing is spending money.
I love that you say that, because I feel like a lot of new entrepreneurs want to, they're almost embarrassed, like this Instagram world that we live in, this highlight reel world that we live in. They don't, I'm going to be completely blunt. I got in I hate doing this, a Facebook comment war back and forth with somebody the other day, because they were essentially saying that there was shame in taking a regular job while pursuing your passion. I'm like, that is so, that hurts my heart to hear someone say that, they are too embarrassed to say that they took a side job or a regular job or worked their 9 to 5 6 months longer than they had planned on, while they were trying to build something.
Yeah,
everybody's done that.
Yeah.
That's where it starts, man.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah, he's still in the corporate world. He's got a full-time job. For me, I worked pretty much anything I could really find that could help supplement my income while I was trying to determine what Campervan was going to mean for me and for us and as a company. Can I take a salary at some point? What do we need to do to get to that point? So for me, it was a little bit easier once we actually got some investors in. It was easier for me to kind of leave what I was doing behind because it was just paying bills. It wasn't a career anymore.
Yeah.
And he's in a full-on career and a great, very successful career. So for him, it's like, we're going to need to make a lot more money for me to take, to not do my day job.
Yeah.
Even though, there's a part of him who's, this is our business. He would want to do this all day long. But I was able to be the first one to kind of let go of everything else and just focused 100% of my time on Campervan. So, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because there's a part of me that feels guilty that I'm paying myself, because I want all the money to just go into the company and the company just be successful.
Yeah.
So, but I have to survive,
and
there's no way I can continue to show growth in this company if somebody's not doing it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We're just at that level where it can't be a side hustle anymore.
Yeah.
It's got to be a full-time gig.
Yeah.
And I think that's for new entrepreneurs. That's probably one of the hardest things to get through too, because there is a lot of, especially when you're in partners, like, all right, well, who's getting paid? How much are you getting paid? What's your salary going to be? And getting through all those pieces. And, that's where you get, one thing that Dave has done that we've worked on is hiring the right people to help you out in doing the things, right? You read about this all the time and hear about it in other podcasts. It's like, get an accountant, get a lawyer, get the people that are good at what they do there. Don't try to do it all yourself, because you're going to have pitfalls, and that's what they're paid to do. And you're investing in your future, because if you try to do it all yourself, you're going to mess up somewhere down the road, and it can go wrong real fast. But also, it can just go wrong a little bit, which will just be a pain in the ass. Instead of letting it be a pain in the ass, just do it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to dive into you a little bit, because I know you're working your corporate job still while this is growing on the side. Does that ever get hard as far as do you ever sit down at your desk at your corporate job and like, man, I just really don't want to be here. I'd much rather be doing this. Or what does that look like in your head, or how do you handle those challenges?
So I'm pretty lucky in the fact that my day gig is something that is also awesome.
Okay.
Right. I'm still in the radio business, and I get to do a lot of really, really cool things. So it's not something that I'm dying to get out of.
Okay.
There are, in the nature, it's an entertainment industry. So when you're in the entertainment industry working for another company, there are certain ceilings. It is a corporation. It's a corporate world. So, I love what I do, and it is a career. It is a profession, and I still strive to be excellent at it, because that's kind of the way I'm built. I have too much pride in what I do. But at the same time, this is something that I love and see myself doing way, way down the road.
Yeah.
Right. And just like Dave said, as in any corporation, you just don't know. It's the entertainment industry. So you don't know tomorrow the company decides to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I could be out. So, looking long term, this is one of those things that's long term that I eventually want to grow to be a part of what I do all the time. That is my kind of my exit strategy for what I'm in. And if we grow fast enough, then, that's where we go.
Mom and Dad always says you have to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Right? They always told me.
They always told me that. It's like, well, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? It's like, I don't know. What am I doing with it?
I know. I went to college to be an actor, and
really?
I was a theater major in college, and my parents were like, okay, well, what if that doesn't work out? I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What if it doesn't work? It's going to work out. Yeah. And now it didn't. I didn't become a huge actor or anything, but I ended up transitioning into a broadcast world and, making a career in kind of my two passions is kind of theater and music and being in radio, So I was able to kind of have a character, be on the radio, listen to music, play music. I mean, it was a cool gig.
Yeah.
And that was my backup plan, I guess, but it is always good to have a backup plan. And I think he's got one.
I think a lot
of, but I mean, to kind of get to where I think you wanted to dive into is, it is a daily struggle, right? For me to balance the two. And a lot of it is just, getting up early, trying to work on things, and then after work, and just staying true. It's still, my day job's still a day job. There are expectations for me. I lead a team of about 28 people. So, they count on me. I still need to be a manager, manage them, work on their careers, help them. So I'm very cognizant of the fact that I don't let it affect what I do in my day job. Because I love it. I love my team, and I need it. And so it's balancing that with then after work, my day job, like diving straight into Campervan and what am I doing this weekend, doing that. On the weekends if we have festivals, working at festivals, doing marketing, or, delivering vans after hours or whatever that looks like.
This podcast is at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. I don't know if we said that on air.
No, we haven't said that yet. But yeah, I mean, just doing, being available at other times whenever necessary, and making sure, the hardest part is, Dave talks about feeling guilty for taking a paycheck, and I feel guilty for not being available all the time. I mean, there's so much on his shoulders constantly. And so being, luckily we know each other really well. And so we try to balance that out, but making sure that I'm putting in as much as I can to try to equal that partnership when it's just not as possible because of that struggle of the full-time gig, because I'm not there yet. We work it out. And so it's just
sometimes we get mad at each other about it, Who
doesn't?
That's part, I think, of a partnership.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's like a marriage, and, he'll say something that pisses me off, and I'll say something that pisses him off, and we'll storm off out of the room and address it later, or just let it go,
And then you realize that what you're trying to build is just a little bigger than both of you, right? And then you keep that as your North Star. Yeah. But what I heard out of your response, to relate it to someone that more than likely is, I think you're rare. I think if you're trying to build a business on the side and still in your 9 to 5, most people don't feel happy at their 9 to 5.
They're trying to get out.
They're trying to get out as quickly as possible.
He's got a great gig.
Or out of necessity, kind of like you were. They realize that their 9 to 5 is not worked out. But what I heard in your response is excellence. So in your 9 to 5, you're doing your best, and you kind of have this mindset of, why not my best?
It's my name. Yeah. I'm not going to ever not do, that's all you have is your reputation and your name. So
you strive for excellence. And if you do that in your 9 to 5, that's going to play into your side hustle and your eventual full-time business. Like just a mindset and training your mind to always strive for excellence, or always do your best and all that stuff. Even in those, like my 9 to 5 I worked, I was in a warehouse slinging boxes, and like it was miserable. I hated every second of it, but I still outworked everybody there. Yeah. I still did. I hated my supervisors. I argued with them almost every single day. Like I was just a number on a spreadsheet. They lied about all the numbers on the spreadsheet. They hid stuff. If like things didn't get out on time, they would hide it. I had supervisors take it home so the morning shift wouldn't find it. Like it was insane. But meanwhile, I was still there making sure that I scanned every package, that it was loaded properly, and I was outworking everybody else. And even though I was miserable there, I still, had the work ethic and the attitude of like, the harder I work here, the faster I'm going to be able to get out. Yeah. Which probably wasn't true because of medical reasons. I'm a type 1 diabetic, but, so I had to be there for health insurance. But at the time, like I didn't really at the time I was just thinking, if I do my best here, then I know that I have the ability to do my best when the rest gets hard in my business. Yeah. Because business isn't easy. So it's going to be stressful. Dealing with clients is stressful. Dealing with a customer who's bitching at you about not having a bathroom can get stressful, especially if you had an argument with your wife 2 hours before. Like some of that's going to come out. So keeping that mindset, that excellence mindset, I think is super important. But that's what I heard out of your answer.
One of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur, which I never really envisioned myself as one, I always just thought I'd work for somebody else. But one of the things I love the most about this freedom of kind of owning our own business is when you're in the corporate world or working for somebody else, you play into the culture that is given to you. When you're an entrepreneur, you get to create the culture. And for us to be able to create the culture of the business that we're creating, not only for our customers, but our staff, for each other, we get to set the tone. Yeah. We get to kind of create the mindset of our employees and our consumers, and that's pretty powerful. And
you create the environment, right? And this is funny because I just finished a documentary last night called Hill on Netflix, HEAL. And there's some parts of it that I was like, I want to skip through, but the overall message was incredibly powerful because it was about the mind is a powerful thing if you use it as a tool. But if you just kind of set with your thoughts and all that, more than likely they're not positive 100% of the time, or they don't have that excellence mindset. But if you use your mind as a tool and you train your mind and all that, and part of their ways, this is a roundabout way to get to the environment. Part of the ways you train your mind is to build an environment and a culture that puts your mind in that spot all the time. So in our old office, we had like a PS4, and some of the people that we had working for us would get stressed out on the edit and like sit down, and I'm guilty of it too. I did the same thing. We would sit down and be like, oh man, this edit is stressing us out. Let us relax for a little bit or get our mind off of it. I'm like, but that's the time you need a fucking dig. Sorry, excuse my language, but that's the time you need a dig. Like,
Not offending me.
Yeah, that's the time you really need to go harder. So when we moved here, I was like, get all that shit out of here. Get every game, all that stuff out of here. But that was an interesting documentary to watch for sure. Just because it was all about another documentary I watched. I forget the name of it, but it was talking about how our lives these days are set up essentially for failure. If you go into anyone's home, all the chairs are turned towards the TV. Well, as an entrepreneur trying to be successful in life, everyone says you need to read more, turn off the TV, disconnect a little bit, meditate and all that stuff. But our environment at home, when you walk in, there's a bowl of candy on the table that's in reach, but the fruits in the crisper drawer in the refrigerator, right? Or all your chairs are facing the TV. So, and the remote's right on the arm of that chair. But if you were to go home and turn the chair a little bit and take the batteries out of that remote, and you inconvenience those bad habits a little more. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent from what you said, but
It's all good, man.
But I think
we
it's
subscribe to it as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is the culture and the environment that you create. I think a lot of people want to focus on that for other people.
Yeah.
But really they need to focus it on for themselves first.
Starts at home.
Starts at home.
That's what I read every night before I go to bed.
Yeah,
and
I'm trying to get there.
it's different things, right? But I like magazines. I like the old school magazines.
Oh, okay.
It's not an iPad messing with the light or anything. I mean, I'm probably one of the last people that actually subscribes to magazines.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. There's a part of that. And Entrepreneur Magazine is one of those. And just
Town and Country is your other favorite one.
Yeah, Town and Country. Yeah, Dave's Life is another big one. But just reinforcing those things because you move so fast, especially with 2 jobs and all the stuff we have going on. You move so fast. So which one of these elements that you read articles about do you employ, right, in your daily life? Just like all the things you're saying. And I think you have to pick and choose, and you have to try to, just staying conscious of those things and listening to podcasts, whether it's Tim Ferriss or whatever it is. Those just being conscious of those things and putting your mind in that area will help you long term, because if you just take those nuggets over time and apply them, I think you do really well.
Yeah.
Because then you'll apply them to your business and not make silly mistakes. You're like, I read that article. It said X, Y, and Z was a better way to go than maybe something else. And so I think that helps.
Yeah. All this reminds me of the video I watched of you giving the tour. You pulled out the roadmap off of the dash. And it's like, we still believe in, I think you said your better half doesn't believe in digital mapping.
Yeah.
I mean,
she hates digital mapping.
And you I remember my parents used to have the old roadmap, but you open it up and like, be warned though, you can't pinch and zoom on the paper.
Zoom in.
I was like, oh, that's so good. That's great.
Yeah. So my wife, girlfriend, I mean, we've been together, common law almost. We should have got married this week, but we got pregnant instead. No. She is officially my fiance.
So you can call her that.
Yeah. So, I want to call her my wife, and she's like, don't skip over the rest of it. We got to get there. But anyway, so I've kind of put her on our website as the protector of purpose, because she really keeps me grounded, and I think really has such a great vision for the company and in kind of a regular roadmap kind of way, kind of use that metaphorically instead of, taking shortcuts and missing the things that matter the most. Like, I admire her want and desire for exploration because she doesn't want a digital map. She wants to actually make a wrong turn and end up somewhere that she never thought she would be. And it's pretty cool because, she helps me a lot of times, to kind of keep that going in the company and just allow us to take a wrong turn every once in a while so we can see what what we might see.
And she's an amazing decorator as well.
Yeah,
like if it was left to me or even Dave for the inside of these vans, she's helped immensely with just the way our look from the very
cozy.
beginning.
They really are. It's a woman's touch, no doubt.
Oh, totally. I mean, I wouldn't have picked any of that stuff to go.
As a matter of fact, I think the first van that we came back all decorated like that, he was kind of like, okay, like
there was the dream catchers hanging from the rearview mirror and all this stuff. I mean, it was for me, it was like, I was like, we went from Campervan to like super hippie mobile, like living in the West. I was like, there's got to be something in between this that works.
but people see that and that's exactly what they're going for.
And
right?
it's amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a big part of it. But again, I mean, that kind of goes back to, there are companies out there that rent, even out west, that rent camper vans or that rent RVs, and it's very stale. And it's just, here's what you have, and it's just the wood and crap and countertops. I mean, and then you have the look and the feel, and that's part of what Dave says. We build the culture, and she's a big part of that, and we're all three of us together are a big part of what comes out of that.
Yeah, they're providing a tool or a service, and you guys are creating an experience. Right?
Absolutely,
that's the main core difference.
Yeah, and a tribe. We want to create people that love to be sCAMPer van wranglers.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt that you guys want to be related to like all-inclusive resorts, but that's what it seems like to me because I remember like my wife and I, we hardly ever go to like the family vacations at the beach anymore, just because we'd much rather spend our money going to like an all-inclusive somewhere that we don't have to worry about anything. We swipe our credit card or put in the information online, and then the flight's booked, all the food's taken care of, the drinks, everything. We don't have to worry about anything. And that's kind of like what you guys are. It's like you can go camping and you can go find the sleeping bags and the stove and get the butane fluid and like all that stuff for the grill and all that, or just go to sCAMPer van and then you're set.
It's why a lot of people don't camp, because it's
so much work.
It's so much work. If you think about it, and I use this example, and I've used this story before. Dutch has heard it in the past. So my son was a Cub Scout here in Atlanta. We lived in Grant Park, and he went to school in Midtown, and we were in Scouts, and we'd go on these camping trips or whatever. And I'd watch the dads who didn't have any idea really how to camp. They'd show up with their $1,000 REI tent. Yeah. They would break it out like late on Saturday, leave first thing on Sunday. And, you could just tell that they were kind of in over their head. They're like, I got to do this. It's a great way for me to bond with my son, but I don't really know what to do. I don't really have the gear. So I'm just going to kind of stumble through it. So a lot of people will just choose not to do this because it can be daunting. I don't have this gear. I don't have that. And again, that kind of goes back to why we are here. It's like, listen, remove excuses. Yeah, we'll drop off the van, and a lot of times people go, I overpacked. I didn't realize all this was in the van. And we're like, we want you to feel that way. We're like, oh my gosh, you have everything. Yeah. Everything from down to Tums, if you have a stomach ache, or Pepto-Bismol, or feminine products. If, the woman's like, oh, I forgot, I didn't even think about it. That kind of stuff is just kind of, just remove the excuse to say no to the outdoors. And people say no to the outdoors because the outdoors can be, limitless and intimidating, And if you don't know it, and if you don't appreciate it, then you don't protect it. Yeah, which is we're on a case for not protecting our natural parks and our outside. We live in suburbs, and a lot of people grew up, back in the day with some woods around you, and you'd play in the dirt, and that doesn't happen anymore. You live in a neighborhood, and you're not allowed to be outside past dark, and everybody's worried about going outside, and outside is becoming a negative thing because of these.
And they're stuck on this the whole time, even when they are outside. So. That's part of it. It's trying to get it easy.
It's work just to even be outdoors, right? I can totally relate. When I was little, I always played with like cars and Tonka trucks and stuff outside in the dirt. And then we had tons of trees on our property, and I was always climbing trees. I was a monkey. I was jumping from tree to tree. Yeah. It was insane. And then somewhere along the way, and we went camping. My dad was a hunter and all that stuff, so I went camping often. And somewhere along the way, I just completely disconnected from like that lifestyle. And now I can't think of the last time I've been like camping or even stayed more than 30 minutes away from like, access to anything, So
it's so empowering. It really is.
It is, right? I was going to say a lot of, and I've said this before on the podcast, but a lot of people that I know, CEOs of $1 billion companies, I don't like know them, but and through doing video production, I get to be in the same room with them and all that. And it's so interesting because most of these people that are super successful, they make it a point to take a weekend or 1 week or 2 weeks out of every single year to just travel alone by themselves and all that. And considering I'm trying to get to that point, I'm like, I need to start doing that. And then when I saw your guys' business on Instagram, I'm like, maybe this is what I need to just completely shock my system.
Yeah.
Like, I know you guys got me covered because I'm going to forget probably 90% of what I actually need, but you guys got me covered.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why I would never do it to begin with, because it's just not my world. I'm not interested or anything like that. But you guys come along like, hey, you don't have to really think about anything.
You don't.
Get in the van, go, find your spot, park it, sleep, enjoy the outdoors. I'm like, I can get behind that.
I mean, we even go as far as trip planning too, because there are often times where people go, okay, I really want to do this, but I have no idea where to go.
Yeah. Well, like you said about the North Georgia mountains and stuff, I didn't know that there's all this area. You can just camp wherever.
And it's all over. I mean, you head south, you can head east, you can head west. I mean, we're actually in a really, really great spot for the outdoors.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of the mountains of Western North Carolina or Eastern Tennessee or North Georgia, getting in the Appalachian Mountains and
Even Alabama.
I mean, gosh, there's a place called Cloudland Canyon, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is northwest of Atlanta. Most people think northeast, you get up into, you start getting into the mountains and stuff like that. But if you go to this place called Cloudland Canyon, which is south of Chattanooga a little bit, it's just inside, it's kind of Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama area. And the views, the waterfalls, you're like, if somebody didn't tell you it was there, you would never have guessed it was there.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of just taking the time to go, what is out there to explore? And you get out there and you're like, wow, this is amazing. An hour and a half south, there's this place called Providence Canyon.
Yeah.
It is kind of like our Grand Canyon. It's just this hole
It's a
in
farming
the earth.
accident.
It really was. It was irrigation issues that just caused wear to the earth, and it just kind of opened up. But it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a great trail. You can get down in the middle of this. You can walk the rim. And it's just a cool little day trip,
Just
and
be prepared for everything to be red.
it's a lot of red clay.
Exactly.
A lot of clay.
And it's also, for the astronomy buffs, it's also one of the darkest places in Georgia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is down near Providence Canyon area. So anytime there's something going on in space, in the sky that you want to see, it's a good spot to go as well.
That's good to know. I used to do that as a kid too. I would just go out in our backyard and just stare at the stars in the sky.
You can't see the stars when you live in the city.
No,
it's
not
too much
at all.
light pollution.
Not at all. And now I live in the city. So I'm like 10 minutes from here.
You got to get out.
Yeah, I got to get out somewhere. This has been great. We've been talking a little less than an hour, but I feel like we can bring it to a close. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add to it? Thinking about the audience as far as being that entrepreneur that's probably hesitant. They're nervous about starting. It's overwhelming. They're nitpicking every single last thing. Like me personally, I'm probably more cynical than I should be. I go to every worst case scenario before I start anything. And like this podcast alone has helped me break out of that. And the way that the podcast has helped me break out of that is by talking to, like, getting feedback from guys like you and, like, how did you overcome any type of hesitation or anything, or what would you give back to a new entrepreneur?
I think you're only as good as your tribe. You're only as good as the people around you. For me, if I was to give any entrepreneur advice, I'd say surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. From the moment we started, I was reaching out to people that were other entrepreneurs or, that were in the business world or investors or whatever, and just asking questions. We got to be a part of Switch Yards downtown, which is, an entrepreneur, B2C kind of a incubator where, they all get together and share ideas.
I know a few people out of there.
Yeah. So, just kind of started asking people questions and taking lunches. And, the great thing about Dutch and I is he's the yin to my yang. I mean, he's like you in the sense of he overthinks everything, and I am the consummate dreamer and optimistic. I'm like, nothing's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you believe it to be, it will be. I'm just kind of built that way, and he's a little bit more of a realist, and he'll kind of bring me down. So it's so important to surround yourself with people that not only complement your characteristics, but also people that challenge you to be asking the right questions, to to do the right things. I mean, it's so huge, the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was going to go to the really the same place as far as I will over research things. And there's the analysis to paralysis portion of that. And I can absolutely get in that realm. And one of the great parts about Dave is, ever since I've known him, is that it's like we come up with an idea today and tomorrow it's in motion. And sometimes I'm like, wait, we're already doing what? Like literally it's like, well, wait a minute, we just literally talked about it. We haven't even decided on a plan yet. And we're already going. Yeah. And there's a lot of that you just have to do. You have to really just rip off your shirt and dive into the water, and sometimes not check the full depth. I can pretty much see the depth. I can't see the whole thing, but it's enough to where I'm safe, right?
Yeah. Ready, fire, aim.
Yeah. And so there's there's a lot of that. And I think to Dave's point, it's know where you're at. Do some soul searching, whether it's therapy or meditation or whatever it is, or just knowing yourself. Kind of just take a look at your work history and how you've worked with others, and figure out where you're at, and then be conscious about the types of people you reach out to, or like I just did and plan too much, screw it and just start talking to people you think might help you. Yeah. Right. So there's no right way. I think that's probably the best advice you can get, is there's no immediate right way except for taking the first step. You just have to take that step and do it, and it'll slowly build.
But is there a definite wrong way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can make a lot of mistakes.
You can totally make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them. You always try to not make mistakes.
I would say one of the biggest things you could do, and I've seen this from fellow entrepreneurs that think they know everything. If you kind of have too much, I don't want to say confidence, because it's good to be confident, but if you just kind of feel like I know, like it's my way or the highway, I know it, like you can get yourself into some trouble. Yeah. It's good to be confident with your plan and that whole thing, but it's really also really important to listen to other people and go, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah. If you get caught up in just thinking that you're making all the right decisions, you're going to end up making some wrong decisions at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to take that a step further, the right decision doesn't necessarily mean the best decision, right?
Right.
There's a lot of people that can be making micro right decisions, but one guy could come in, give you a new perspective, like, ooh.
Yeah, didn't think of it that way.
That's going to scale,
Yeah.
All right. So where do we find you guys? Campervan, you tag it up, Instagram, website, all that stuff.
It's all Scampervan. Yeah.
Scampervan.com, at Scampervan.
Yeah, we really lucked out when we came up with the name. I was really surprised how
was the Scamper with a K taken already?
None of it. No, not.
There's one. The Facebook was taken by somebody, so we have a different actual Facebook. Like if you tag that, you actually have to look for the website, right? But if you search Scampervan, you'll find it.
We totally lucked out. I mean, there was a Scamp trailer that was manufactured for many, many years. It was a tow behind trailer, just like a fifth wheel, and it's called Scamp. But it's not a Scamper, and it's not a Scamper van. So when we were able to, trademark our logo and our name, and it was cool because, we were able to really kind of create a brand and own the brand. So you can find us at scampervan.com, Instagram. We've got some pretty cool content. We're doing our best, with what we have. It's tough. The vans are always rented. We have to rely on our consumers to give us good quality photos and videos. And sometimes we get some really great stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need to take my son to South Carolina for a fishing trip to catch some photos. So
yeah, that's true. Because people are trying to disconnect, right? So it's like, that's a tough marketing. Who's doing your social media? Is that you guys or? Yeah. Nice. It looks great.
Thanks.
I like everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I would implore anybody to go to your guys' website and definitely watch like the videos just the tours, the van tours. I think I loved them because I was like, oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't seem salesy. It didn't seem like super informational as far as the tone. It was like, this feels good. It's like it was informational, but at the same time, I felt like
just hanging out with me.
Hanging out. Yeah. Just showing me your cool van. Like, it was nice. It was very well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I just have to say this because I come from a video production world. If anyone's listening in the audience, go watch those videos because you don't need RCR Video, my company, to come do a super professional video. Like, don't get me wrong, I want business. I want one of the whole reasons I started this podcast was to network and potentially get more business for our video production company. However, a video like you did goes so far, and like someone could watch it and that could be they could read every single word you put on that website and still be hesitant.
Yeah.
But they see you in that video and it feels like they're just hanging out. You're showing the van off, the cool new van, you know, and they want to do it.
It's a connection point with the brand too.
Yeah.
I have a lady who's renting the van for a month and a half. She's bringing her taking her two kids. They're going up to British Columbia this summer and they're just driving cross country. They're driving up to Alberta and really cool thing. But when she first reached out, she's like, hey, I just saw the video. I want to rent this van, but can the guy with the green shirt come with us? And I'm like, no, he cannot. But she felt connected, you know, like, wow, not only was he informational, but he might be a good tour guide. So can he come? I'm like, no, he can't come. I don't think my fiance would like that too much.
Yeah, that's funny. But I'm sure everyone would love to have you there, right?
Yeah. Quick note on that. I know we're trying to wrap up, but you talk about gear because I get in my head, I'm like, no, we got to have the right gear. It's got to be this, it's got to be that. And we had some great partnerships. Our first Indiegogo launch, we did hire a company, Rhett Thompson, to do our video on that. And we should have. Like, that was the thing we needed to invest in. And I'm glad we did. That said, our very first photos that were on our website of the van up in the the Rockies and all that kind of stuff were all from him and his fiance on his iPhone. And they were killer shots. Like, you could tell, those who know, you'd be like, oh, it's a little pixelation. Like, you can tell it wasn't the most amazing, but they were beautiful shots. Nobody would really ever know. And it did a fantastic job for the launch. And even till now, we still use those shots. And they were done on an iPhone.
Yeah, it's huge. And like, in the video production world, I mean, obviously everyone is being told that they need video. Like, it's being shoved down everyone's throats. And we don't have to say that anymore in our sales meetings and sales pitches and stuff like that because people know it. And I know a lot of video guys that, you know, are trying to convince companies that they need, you know, to hire a video production company to create ongoing content. Yes, you do. But if you're not doing video at all, there's absolutely no excuse not to use your cell phone. That everyone has to be putting out video, because I would rather somebody not hire us and start doing that, because then they're going to realize the power in video. And then they're going to be like, all right, time to step it up. Let's hire somebody. We've
been very fortunate. We have some really beautiful pieces on our website that were professionally done, and they were really professionally done by people who were just like, hey, we really like what you're doing. Can we take the van for a weekend and videotape some stuff? We're like, absolutely.
I told him that yesterday. I was like, I'm about to just take this and surprise them with a video.
And I mean, for us, it's huge. I mean, content is king. Content creation is so important. We don't have a budget to afford, you know, what the video production costs and the whole, I mean, we did a piece with a company, and I think if we would have paid for it, it would cost us 10, 15 grand. And they just did it because they loved what we were doing. They were local. They went out and they had this epic trip, and they captured it all on video and gave us this beautiful piece. And it was like, wow, man, that the synergy that we were able to kind of come up with a couple of different people and have these really great pieces was huge for us. It helps to have a product that people want to use too. You know, it's not like we're selling Scotch tape or something like that going, hey, I'll give you a lifetime supply of tape if you do this video for me. We're like, go have an experience, man.
Experience, key word there, right?
Yeah, go have an experience.
All right, last question. Has anyone taken the van out and they see Campervan on the side and all that, and they're like just out parked somewhere, and like some random guy or girl comes up and like, hey, what is this? Is this your van? It says Campervan on the side. Tell me about it. But meanwhile, they've just rented the van, because all your vans are wrapped, right?
They are, so we keep flyers in all of the vans because our renters get asked constantly.
Harassed.
That's what I'm asking.
Nobody complains. Nobody complains. Like, our customers are they're having such a good time. They're happy to share their experience with people. They're like, oh, it's this great company out of Atlanta, Dave and Dutch, because, you know, we have this great customer service, this rapport with people. They're more than enthusiastic. We tell people, like, if you don't want to be bothered, there's a stack. Just set them on your picnic table, hand them out.
Stick them in the windshield wiper or whatever.
Just so people will leave you alone, whatever. But it gets a lot of attention. The vans get so much attention. I mean, you open the door and somebody sees a bed in there and a sink, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Going to the grocery store becomes, you have to budget some extra time usually because
Somebody's
going to stop you like, what is this?
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. It's exactly what we want, right? So
Yeah. It's like going anywhere with my dogs. It's like I add an extra 20 minutes at least because I know I'm going to have 100 conversations.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Ellie. She's blah, blah, blah. And it's like I repeat myself all the time.
We've had people say, hey, do you have any vans that are unmarked?
Unmarked.
And we're kind of like, no. Again, you talk about your parameters
boundaries,
and
yeah.
boundaries. We're building a business. It's important for people to know what it is. And in order to spread the word, like if you're just in a white van and you're parked in that doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
We need everyone to know about us.
Yeah.
So
But if you grow big enough, then maybe that's a premium van, but right now I think I love it. I think, and I would hope that your customers love it too. Like they've, it's almost like they should feel a part of like helping you grow.
Totally. And they do. They're really excited.
Yeah, because they are a huge part of helping us grow. Because every trip they take is another chance for them to talk to somebody, get those referrals. Either talking to their friends when they're done, et cetera. So and they're part. And honestly, we care about them. I mean, I think that's the other part too, is that we genuinely care about our customers. I mean, we want them to have a good time because we would want to have a good time if we were doing it, and that's something that, as we look towards the future, how do you scale that, right? How do you scale that care for the customer? And I think the good part is because it comes from the top down, it'll be easier for us than it might be for some others because we genuinely do care about our customers. We want them to have the best time ever.
Yeah, and the fact that they're helping you guys scale and grow beyond just a transaction is huge. I mean, once you've hit that moment with your clients or customers, can you really go down? I mean, obviously everyone can mess up, but
one bad Google review and you can go down.
You can go down, yeah.
Jeez.
But I mean, just the fact that you guys have those customers that are like helping you grow beyond just that transaction point is that's pretty incredible.
It's big
that's
for
awesome.
us. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I really appreciate you coming out on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur Life, right?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks.
Awesome.